Welcome to the Research Talks podcast with Alan Green. So, last week we talked about an Irish gold company, and we go back to Ireland for another mining company, but more into zinc than gold, as Alan will advise us. And also we're going to be looking at pharmaceutical this week as well, as we talk about Avacta, one of the COVID stories of the year. So, hello Alan, and welcome back.
Hello Mark, it's good to be back.
Yes, absolutely. Everything good? Had a good bank holiday weekend?
Yes, as ever, these bank holiday weekends go far too quickly. I think Friday evening is always the best part of the bank holiday weekend because you can kick back, have a few beers, maybe indulge in a takeaway, which in fact we did. We had a Chinese takeaway Friday evening. So, and then of course all the stuff that is lined up to do, and all of the family visits, all of the little jobs that have to be done, get done, and before you know it, you're back at work on Tuesday morning. So
you're back on Tuesday, yeah. So it's a 4-day week, but it's started nicely.
Yeah.
And so which one shall we start with today? Do you want to go pharma or mining?
Well, let's carry on from where we left off last week. Let's go into mining. So,
sure.
So this company is the former Connemara Mining. The epic code for Connemara was CON, which
unfortunate.
which may have been one of the reasons they changed the name, but that's I'm sure I'm not correct in that assumption. But the company changed its name last year to Arkle Resources. The epic code is ARK, as in the Ark. Arkle has both gold and zinc interests in Ireland, but unlike Conroy Gold that we spoke about last week, Arkle is more focused on zinc. I'm going to just basically give a quick run through of the projects and then focus on the key projects, and also the board as well, which I think it's worth looking at the board of the company because the chairman in particular is quite a mercurial character within the industry. So, so starting with the zinc projects. There are 4 zinc projects within the Arkle Resources portfolio. The flagship project, and certainly the flagship project for the company, is the zinc project, or the lead and zinc project at Stone Park, which was discovered in 2007 in Limerick in Central Ireland. Originally was a joint venture between a company called Teck Ireland, and Teck then sold down its interests and sold its interest in Stone Park to Group 11, a TSX listed company. So the state of play now is that Group 11 owns 76.5% of Stone Park and Arkle owns 23.4%. So through the assessment and through the drilling that's taken place there is a maiden inferred resource logged of 5.1 million tons of lead and zinc with a grading of 11.3%, which is pretty decent. Zinc, of course, is an essential element, element that's used in manufacturing. It's used in industry, electronics, also used, of course, to plate cars to ensure the longevity of the vehicle. But the reason that Stone Park is such a significant holding for Arkle is that it's adjacent to the huge Palace Green zinc mine, which has an estimated 45 million tons of zinc in the ground. And this is owned by Glencore. Why is it significant for Stone Park? Well, obviously, having a major company like Glencore next door is significant, but Glencore have been taking a closer look at the Stone Park project. Obviously, the fact it's adjacent to the project, geographically, geologically, for all those reasons, it would make sense for them to do so. So they have acquired a stake in Group 11, the TSX listed company, and over the years they've gradually increased their shareholding in Group 11 to the point where that shareholding now stands at 26%. So clearly they see huge potential in the project, and Arkle, of course, own 23.4%. I mentioned with Conroy last week that, of course, the TELUS survey that's been surveying or used to survey so many of the old mining sites across Ireland has been also run. It's also run the proverbial slide rule, if you like, across the across the Stone Park resource, and there is new airborne geophysical data available for Stone Park, which I think has certainly added to the value. I should say at this point that in terms of its capitalization, Arkle has the shares are traded as high as 1.6p on the year and as low as 0.45p, currently trading just on a penny. So, very little really to show in the valuation for an asset of this quality. The market cap is just 2 million. So when you compare even to Conroy, which has a market cap of 8.5 million and is undervalued, I believe, given the joint venture with Anglo-Asian, the fact that you've got Glencore taking a stake in an asset owned by 23% owned by Arkle is hugely significant, and I think alone is worth a re-rating. But anyway, that's just my view, but I'll put that out there. There are three other lead and zinc projects of note. There's Oldcastle, which is in the Cavan and Meath districts in Ireland. Again, this was a Teck Island Arkle joint venture. Teck owns 75%, Arkle 25%, and there's some 20 kilometers. The asset is some 20 kilometers southwest of the Tara lead and zinc mine, which is owned by Boliden, Sweden. It's a huge operating mine and employs some 580 people. So it's again shares similar geological anomalies with the Tara mine. We then have the Derry Cairn lead and zinc prospect, which is in the province of Laois in Ireland. And these are 5 licenses on the Rathdowney Trend, which is east of the Gilmoy mine, which is owned by London, and of course northeast of the Lishan mine, which is owned and run by Vedanta Resources. The final asset on the zinc and lead and base metals spectrum is Ladyswell, which is in West Cork. These entail 2 licenses south of Clonakilty, which is a base metals project including lead, zinc and silver. So again, a raft of licenses. The jewel in the crown very much at Stone Park, as I've outlined already. There is also, given the meteoric rise in gold this year, and obviously the developments for Conroy and for other gold miners operating in Ireland. Arkle Resources also owns 2 significant gold assets. Firstly, the Mine River asset, which is in the Wicklow and Wexford districts in southeastern Ireland. And again, I'm familiar with this through research for another company, IMC Exploration, that has interest in this area as well. The Mine River asset consists of 8 licenses covering some 340 square kilometers, and across this asset, some a target has been identified some 15 kilometers long. And of course, there's so much history in this area. There was the Wicklow gold rush several hundred years ago, and literally the old saying, there's gold in them there hills, could be said of the Wicklow Mountains, because the streams that run off the mountains there into the Avacta River are quite rich, it is said, with gold and alluvial deposits relating to the metal.
Okay, and there was gold rush there, you say?
Yeah, there was a huge gold rush. There are still a number of old disused mines in the area, and also tailings piles. There was a tailings pile owned by the IMC Exploration Mining Company, but certainly the licenses that are owned by Arkle Resources in this regard. Drilling has been undertaken at Tom Breen, which is one of the assets. An 8-meter intersection was drilled that yielded 4.5 grams per ton, and the smaller intersection was drilled some 50 centimeters, which contained 21 grams per ton, which is obviously a very good reading. So very encouraging. We know the goals there, and again, all of this data and the drilling data is supported by the TELUS survey that was undertaken in Ireland, which is employing new techniques and bringing new technology into mining so these assets can be looked at again and reassessed. So the the final asset in the Arkle portfolio is Inishowen, or Inishowen, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's the Inishowen Peninsula in North Donegal in the north of Ireland.
Okay.
This is the asset contains the Menera. I hope I pronounced that correctly. I should have looked up the pronunciations prior to, but there we go. So Arkle is the first to drill in this area, and the Mina prospect has already revealed across a 4.8 meter sample some 5.5 grams per ton of gold, and recent drilling from one sample revealed small samples of 69 and 74 grams per ton respectively. So that's extremely high potential there. There's the Glentoga fault, which runs from Mina to the old Glentoga base metal mine, and they've identified a shear zone called Kinnigo within this fault, and the geology here is very similar to the Galantas mine and the Coronelt project in Tyrone, which is some 40 kilometers to the south. Mm-hmm. So a great asset of a great portfolio of assets both in zinc and gold. Mm-hmm. If we look at the progress that the company has made this year, there have been 3 placings. The company raised 252,000 in March at 0.5p, a further 250,000 in May at 0.75p, and has just launched just completed placing. It's raised 600,000 at 0.8p. So basically has $1 million from placings in the past 4 to 5 months, and the monies are to be used to develop the Mine River asset in a show, and also the Stone Park zinc asset. So great progress for the company. Very, very careful use of funds over the year. There's a full year loss of 313,000 euros versus 337 last year. Coming onto the board now, the chairman is John Teeling, who has 40 years experience in the industry. He's a mining veteran, a bit like Professor Richard Conroy, but absolutely tons of energy, and just lives and breathes the industry. Has been involved and helped launch onto AIM, Pan-Andean Mining, Minco, African Gold, Persian Gold, West African Diamonds. Also been on the board of Cheme Resources and Arcon. Jim Finn is the CFO and company secretary. Also worked with Pan-Andean Gold, African Gold, and David Cobill is the financier in the group. Patrick Cullen, the former CEO, stepped down recently, but obviously still retains his shareholding in the business. So I think with that portfolio of assets, particularly Stone Park and the interest that Glencore has in that asset, a market cap of just over 2 million is miserly, if not derisory.
Yeah, I do like these Irish gold companies. There's not many. I mean, we've discussed 2 now, haven't we? There's probably more out there, but I quite like the idea of sort of Irish gold. The look of the Irish, it's quite charming. And I didn't know there was Gold Rush that at one time. That's pretty cool.
Well, we did some work for a mining company, IMC Exploration, in Ireland some years ago, and there are several books written by Professor Peter McGoogle, I think, was his I think I've got a surname wrong, but in any event, there's the geology, the way Ireland was formed, is very conducive to gold and base metals. Just basically all the tectonic plate shifting and the seismic activity from millions of years ago has created an environment over there which is potentially very fertile for gold and base metals, and I think we're seeing this now. But of course, as we discussed before, the huge explosion in the gold price and precious metals, the ongoing spend by governments into monetary easing, which is an effective long-term devaluation of fiat currency, is only going to further serve to bring projects like this back onto the map. Where projects like this would have been looked at previously and considered uneconomical because the price per ton wouldn't mean the company could get the stuff out of the ground profitably. That's all now changed.
Yeah, absolutely, it has. Yeah, and on that theme of other things that have come into flavour recently, and obviously pharmaceutical, that was very hot, wasn't it, in over these last few months?
Very much so, Mark. It's certainly been. We've really seen, I think, a sea change. The irony is that we're all dealing with lockdown and the restrictions and the impact it's had on life in general, family life, day-to-day life, working life, everything else. But it has created opportunities elsewhere, of course, for
Absolutely.
COVID stocks, but of course in the mining industry too,
Mining, yeah.
where these assets have really started to come to life again.
Which is long overdue, particularly in the mining sector. I know I've been investing for many years in it, and it's long overdue an upswing in that sector. And Arkle there, yeah, cheap, isn't it? 2 million, and a good website, worth a look, definitely.
Yeah, the website's very good actually. It gives very good coverage of the projects and where the company's at today. But certainly, I know there's an awful lot of interest. I've got some friends in the city that are connected with Irish mining, and they'll be, I'm sure, very interested to hear this and to take a closer look at where the projects are today.
Absolutely, and the significance of, was it Glencore in the area as well? It gives a lot of confidence.
Well, I think it's just the fact that the Stone Park project is adjacent to Glencore's Palace Green zinc zinc project. So some 45 million tons of zinc, and Glencore is steadily increasing its shareholding in Group 11, which owned 76% of the Stone Park asset. Arkle owned 23.4%.
Right, yeah, okay.
So regardless of what happens there, if Glencore decide to take out Group 11 and buy the project in and integrate it into Palace Green, then they'll have to make Arkle an offer too.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, good, excellent. Okay, we're talking about pharma. We're talking next about Avacta, are we?
We're talking about Avacta. Yes, we are indeed. And so we've mentioned the COVID stocks, the companies that have come up with testing solutions, come up with potential vaccines and treatments for the disease and the virus. But Avacta have. They're long established as a biotherapeutic company engaged in cancer immunotherapies using its two proprietary platforms, Afema Biotherapeutics and Precision Tumor Targeted Chemotherapy. The company has worked for many years with other key pharmaceutical bodies across the industry to help develop its projects, and indeed with LG Chemicals, it has or LG Chem Life Sciences, it has had a partnership to develop the Afema cancer immunotherapies to the point where LG Chem Life Sciences alone, extending, pushing, and marketing this, they are in a position where they can earn some $55 million in milestone payments going forward. I should say at this juncture that the Avacta share price has had a phenomenal delivered a phenomenal performance this year. They've raised during the year. Well, they most recently raised 48 million sterling by issuing 40 million shares at £1.20. But prior to that, there was a raising at 18p back in March this year. And since that time, the share price has just rocketed, and I'll explain why. It's with very good reason. The company's delivered a number of collaborations, but really the one that is head and shoulders above everything else is the joint venture with Cytiva, which is formerly GE Healthcare. The problem I think that everyone faces at the moment is travel, is going about normal life and just getting on with things and being able to integrate with people, whilst being fairly confident that, of course, the people we come into contact with are COVID-free. And there are other companies we spoke about, Catonize COVID ID app. So when you get on a plane, how will the staff know that you are COVID-free, and how quickly then can they establish that? Well, you might have something on your app that says you've been tested, but with Cytiva, Avacta have developed a rapid saliva test or an antigen-based test, and this is a saliva-based test which gives a result in 90 seconds. And of course,
Right.
most other COVID tests require a clinician or a doctor to perform the test. This is something which can be done by a trained member of staff to just stand there with a stick, take the test. I guess put it into the testing equipment, and they'll get a readout straight away. So when you have a solution like that, you've got something that can be taken through, that can take huge numbers of people through into a shopping center, onto an airplane, which very much creates a prospect of getting life back to normal, or as close to back to normal.
And that's developed. That's ready to go now, is it?
It's ready to go now. It's ready to go now. The other attraction is too that they have a joint venture with BBI Solutions as an antigen test manufacturing partner. And BBI Solutions have said publicly that they are delighted with how straightforward, how easy it is to manufacture this test, and the product they're manufacturing is very scalable in terms of being able to ramp up the process. So if it is adopted, then the manufacturing process can be ramped up extremely quickly, and it can be got out to market across the world into every application. So you can get some idea, you can start to see some idea of the potential size of application here, and of course the potential revenues this is going to generate for both Cytiva and for Avacta. So that's why everyone's so excited about this company. It's based around that, and of course this is totally aside from Avacta's core business.
Yeah,
which
I was going to say, so it's core, but yeah, so they've basically taken advantage of the COVID situation. It's not actually their core business, really.
No, that's right. It's
good that they've turned themselves to that very quickly. Then that's remarkable, really.
Well, they have, but I think Avacta Technologies. I'm sure there are some pharmaceutical companies out there that have technologies that could be applied, but it would be a lengthy and arduous task to implement that. But I think Avacta saw an opportunity, looked at the technologies that they had, and as have so many other pharma companies, and realised that they can create something that works, has great efficacy, works very well, is easy and quick to manufacture, and can be scaled up and got out to where it's needed very quickly indeed. And that's the exciting thing. That's what sets Avacta apart, I think, from the other companies that are trying to create this COVID testing. I think also key throughout the year that just again, showing that Avacta is very much not a one-trick pony. It's the company has also a collaboration with Avicell Therapeutics. That's a joint venture with Daewon Pharma in South Korea. It's got a partnership with Adeptrix for the BAMS diagnostic COVID-19 infection solution. It has a test distribution agreement with Medusa 19. The company also has a collaboration with Intergema, which is Intergema PLC, which is a system which detects COVID in wastewater. So again, there are so many different applications, and so many the AFEMA technologies are lending themselves to possibilities in detecting, testing, dealing with COVID at so many different levels. There's also a collaboration with the Liverpool School of Tropical Medicines to clinically validate the processes that, or the Cytiva Avacta saliva test. And once that is completed, I think we're going to see this thing out of the market, and it should fly. I will say as well, the company, as I said, raised 48 million through issuing 40 million shares at £1.20p, and it's very much on the cusp, I think, of a sea change in terms of valuation. Currently, trading with a market cap of just over 400 million. As I say, we're trading about £1.60 at the moment. The company also made a key appointment recently as well, appointing a guy called Neil Bell, and Neil has been appointed to senior management as the Chief Development Officer, with some 30 years in drug development. He's worked for Pfizer, Ipsen, Teva Pharma, and most recently for a company called Autolus, a UK cell and gene therapy company, which he was responsible for taking through and listing on the NASDAQ in 2018. And I believe that Neil has been brought on, or I think Alistair Smith, the CEO, has confirmed that he's been brought on to fast track that process. Obviously, they're already listed here in the UK, but I think, as we've spoken before, a lot of companies listed on the NASDAQ, particularly pharmaceutical companies, do see far higher valuations. I think US investors tend to look at pharmaceutical companies, the potential of the products and the markets they're selling into. They look at them differently, and they value them more highly. So if, as I think will happen, Avacta does dual list on NASDAQ, with Neil Bell overseeing that, I think we will see the value for Avacta further explode and develop going forward in the latter part of the year.
Okay, and what their core business was what, Alan? Was it in cancer treatment?
Yeah, the core business again. And again, this is still, of course, going on. Biotherapeutic-based cancer immunotherapies using human proteins, and again, that's the FEMA technology, the precision technology. It uses the human protein to generate bodily resistance to chemotoxins through chemotherapy treatment for cancer and other treatments, and that's part of the business. They also have a reagent business unit, and of course, reagents are the agents that are used to challenge the new drugs that are brought to market, to challenge their efficacy and to see how they react in different situations. But yeah, I think as a pharma package, I've heard some analysts talk about Avacta being the next FTSE 100 stock. Well, I think certainly that's a pretty ambitious claim at this juncture. But I think certainly once they receive the clinical validation from Liverpool School of Tropical Medicines, and they get the antigen test over the line into production, out into the market, if that's coupled with a NASDAQ listing, it's entirely possible that the company valuation could be propelled to levels that will potentially put it in that realm. But clearly that's a wait and see.
Yeah, so because at 400 million, that's probably one of the most valuable companies we've ever talked about, I would say, on our Research Talk podcast. Because usually we're talking lower, but a company can still be cheap at 400 million, I suppose.
Well, it's all relative, isn't it, Mark?
Yeah, of course.
I think, if we look at the market cap of Avacta, a year ago, it was very much around the size, the 20, the 30, the 40 millions, and now here we are 10 times on from there, and it's the company's developed a body of assets, which and of course, let's not forget, if FEMA biotherapeutic cancer technologies had suddenly been adopted over the world, then the same thing could have happened. What has happened indirectly as a result of this is that the additional funding that's come into the company, of course, is being used to accelerate some of the cancer immunotherapy technologies. So, so the whole company benefits. The entire R&D department within Avacta has been supercharged as a result of the antigen test with Cytiva.
Yeah, I think that's the key, isn't it? Yeah, that's really what's changed recently with them. How long have they been going for? Do you know, as a company?
They've been around for many years. I actually saw the chief executive, Alistair Smith, talk at one of the at a shares event some years ago. And had a chat with him then. I was just very struck. He's just a very down to earth guy. They're a Yorkshire based company, and they're just they're just beavering away. In terms of their history, I think they've been around for many years, but not necessarily named as Avacta. I think I think as with GlaxoSmithKline and as with AstraZeneca, it's the combination of a number of different companies come together and built and developed over that time. So yeah, but so they have Avacta Life Sciences based in Wetherby, and of course they have Avacta in Cambridge as well. So yeah, Wetherby. Sure. So that's up in your neck of the woods.
Not far at all. Not far at all from here. No, I know Wetherby well. It's only a small little place.
Well, there you go.
There we go.
But I think that's the exciting thing about the markets we work in, isn't it?
Of course.
You can see, and again, by the same token, our businesses, or my business, Brand Communications, is based at the Sussex Innovation Centre, and we see many companies come through there. And another pharmaceutical company, Destiny Pharma, has been there for years and floated on the AIM markets. I think about 4 years ago. So.
Yeah, because it's not always in London. You always associate things with London, but it's not always the case, is it? Now, I think that's Avacta. I've heard an awful lot about it, but I haven't invested in it. I'm not really a pharma guy, but actually, I think that's worth a lot. I think I will take that a closer look, because I'm always interested in immunotherapy and cancer treatment, and if that's their core business, and if they've while the COVID's been going and they've turned their hand and been able to develop what they've developed, I mean, that says a lot about them, I think, first of all, but also, as you say, if it's raised awareness, they're able to raise a lot of money, and it's supercharged their R&D, and they can supercharge, move forward with their business. I think that's really significant. So that's really great to hear about that one. That's another one to watch. Indeed.
Well, I think I think this is again, it's a British company. It's good to support, British innovation, and this is a British company through and through, and it's lovely to see companies like this become world leaders. From the market town next door, as it were.
Exactly.
So that's a great thing. That's why we love markets.
Be nice to have another top pharma, won't it, rather than GSK or Pfizer. Be nice to have another one up there that you can sort of reel off as your top, most profitable pharma companies. Be nice.
Well, why not Avacta?
Why not Avacta? Cool. Okay, great. Well, that's great. Thank you very much, Alan, again for coming on and telling us about those companies.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you for listening to this Stockbox interview. For more information, interviews and videos, visit our website at stockboxmedia.com, or give us a follow on Twitter by searching @StockboxMedia.